We all recognize that biotechnology research and development is spreading as an important core technology in the world, despite insignificant growth in most of African nations.
The current discourse on agricultural production and productivity has now clearly moved beyond addressing food security to acknowledging the centrality of food security and agricultural transformation to poverty reduction and overall human development.
Agricultural productivity in most sub-Saharan Africa is 2 to 3 times lower than the world average, and the production gap between developing and developed countries is widening. In many African countries, when an increase in production is reported, a notable increase in land under production is the cause and not increased productivity per unit area.
Education is a long-term investment, but it pays off. It brings peace, it brings stability, it can reduce poverty, but it has to be quality education. So what is the thing that we did different from other universities that we could not do in established institutions? First, it was a mission-based university. It's short, simple to remember. It says prepare leaders with ethical values to contribute to sustainable development and to construct a prosperous and just society.
The two ideas I wanted to just put on the table, Jeff, because you have access to African heads of state. Many of them come from countries that are registering fairly significant economic growth at the moment, of which a proportion of that revenue could be put aside to start creating or expanding domestic research activities.
Actually, if together from the results of this meeting, the participants who represent so many organizations and leadership groups in African science could just make a short statement about the high potential to push forward in agricultural productivity, I would certainly like to convey that to Secretary General Ban Ki-moon directly as his advisor on these issues. He will be very receptive to hear from the scientific community what the potential is and how important it is to make these investments. I will certainly also convey that message, but I'd like to convey it coming from you rather than coming from me in this sense.
I'd have wanted to see the presentation on the Ethiopia law, for instance, the Zambia law, the Sudan law, so that in future we can look at them and compare what are the issues we need to address. Liability and redress is a challenge, has been a challenge, and I hope now will stop being a challenge.
It is almost impossible to really develop biotech agriculture if you have to consider that the border, the neighboring country has a regulation which is completely opposite as respect to the one that you have.
We all know by now that developing your national biosafety framework is not an easy job. Biosafety frameworks are difficult. Many countries have to start from scratch. There's no recipe or cookbook, and it must be tailored to the specific circumstances and environmental protection and agricultural development objectives of each country.
There's a growing realization that the most suitable regulatory regime will be one that will be very strong and effective in protecting the environment and the safety of the public that consumes this product, but also one that facilitates or allows for innovation to thrive.
So I think as African, we should ask ourselves, what is good for us? How do we put in place regulations and rules that are working for us, not against us?
At personal level, I consider this conference to be really a significant turning point that we can actually start to engage and work with the scientific community to start looking at the benefits and risks associated with biotechnology. The conversation up to now has always been about the risks and the benefits of biotechnology. The starting point has always been the risks and then the benefits. I think this conversation here is really largely about the benefits and the risks.
As a knowledge-based organization, UNDP is willing and ready to partner with all the distinguished institutions present here today to facilitate the sharing of best practices in the area of biotechnology and innovation across countries, and particularly on this continent, and also through developing South-South cooperations. I thank you so much. Thank you.